Okay. Yeah, so as we start off, thank you for joining. My name is Mercy Karumba. I'm the Senior Associate Community at GSF. And today we're having a spotlight session in celebration of World Youth Skills Day, which was officially yesterday. But we're just celebrating it today with two organizations, Lend a Hand India and Asante Africa, just to see the work they're doing within the youth and livelihoods process. So what we're going to do is, if you can write your name in the chat, the organization and which part of the world you're joining us from, and so that we're able to know you as well as the organization. And also you can change the name, um, your Zoom name, so that it reflects your name and the organization you're from. Okay, yeah, so we'll just proceed. And it seems like we could be having people having trouble to join us. But because of time, we'll proceed so that we have enough time for the organizations that are presenting. So in terms of what the agenda looks like for us is we'll be having an icebreaker for 10 minutes just to hear your views around skills. And then I will do an introduction about GSF and Lend a Hand India as well as Asante Africa. And then we will have Asante Africa presenting, Lend a Hand India presenting, and then a questions and answer session at the end and a wrap up. So in terms of just the icebreaker, just to keep us up to date and for us to share before we have more people join us and also before the organization starts sharing. The question that we had for today was if your future self returned 5 years from now to thank you for learning one skill today, what skill would it be? And how I want us to respond is basically just people to speak because we are not yet so many of us in the room. So maybe we could just speak and say, if your future self returned 5 years from now to thank you for one skill that you've learned, what skill will it be? So tell us what skill that looks like and why. And then from there we will proceed. Yes, so for me, as we start off, the skill that came to mind when I thought about this question was on emotional intelligence. And the reason why that skill was important or it felt important is as we move towards a world of, people working virtually, schooling happening virtually, it feels like we're heading towards less and less personal interactions. And also with my current role in community engagement, it feels like learning how to do or how to engage with people at a personal level with high intelligence is a skill that has been useful for me right now. And I know in in the near future and also in future, this skill will be very, very critical as we move along. So for me, emotional intelligence is that skill that I know my future self will be able to thank me for. So what I'm going to do is anyone else who wants to share, you can just unmute yourself and speak. Anyone who wants to go next?
So, Mercy, I can go next, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was wondering, I mean, the skill which I would like to learn is um, the ability to be able to laugh at the challenges and laugh at my failures. So that's the skill which seems that very underrated, and
Yeah.
many of us do not have it, including
Yeah.
myself. So yeah, that is one.
That's beautiful. Thanks, Deepika. Florence?
Yeah, thank you so very much, Marcy. So personally, that would be leadership skills because it first started with where I worked and it made a lot of sense to understand that you are a leader in any place that you're in. Doesn't mean it's until you're given a title, but rather the initiatives that you're taking into ensuring that you're making a world a better place. Thank you.
It's lovely. Thank you, Florence. I like the leadership skill. I like the ability to laugh at your failures and, be contented with the situation that you're going through. Thanks, Deepika. Anyone else who wants to go next?
I can share, Mercy. I think just the relationships I feel is just, I think that skill of being in different relationships with different colleagues and different stakeholders, I feel that has always benefited, and I feel that would be something which I will thank myself for in the future years. Yeah, thank you.
That's relationship building. Ajay? Okay. Anyone else who wants to share?
I can go.
Ayush?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Are you sure you're going?
No, if you want to go
Please
first.
go for it. Please go for it.
Okay. So for me, I want to learn to, reflect properly, reflect myself to understand whatever the things is happening around me and to understand from my perspective and to reflect more. So this is the skill I want to, work on.
So personal reflection.
Yes.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. Tejaswini?
I love how no one's saying like AI and all of those things. But for me, it should be that's really telling actually. For I think very similar to something that Ayush said is just to keep learning and the skill to just keep learning and unlearning and being okay to taking feedback and continuing to improve yourself at whatever age or in whatever that you're trying to do.
Okay, that's lovely. Thank you, Tejaswini. So continuous learning, I think, and personal development. Yes, I don't know anyone else who wants to share faith, maybe. And Tejaswini, please could you check the community if there's any challenges with joining, because I feel like it's a
I
small
am
number.
monitoring it.
Yeah, I'm wondering why. Okay. Yeah, so Faith, do you want to share? If not, we can move on. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to share is basically just a snippet about GSF, who we are and what we do, just for any organization that is present that is not part of the GSF community. And also just a reminder for those who are already part of GSF. So GSF's vision is that all children realize their potential through safe access to quality education. And our mission is that we support non-state education organizations. So this is school operators as well as education support organizations in low and middle income countries to innovate, deepen impact, and achieve scale through stronger know-how, smarter funding, and system-level partnerships. And this sort of culminates our 4 pillars, which are community convener, partnership builder, knowledge accelerator, and a funding catalyst, which are the 4 pillars that we regard ourselves as. And currently within the membership, we have 225 organizations spread across Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And they are the core aspect of GSF, that is the GSF community. And these organizations are in 72 countries, making an impact on 162 million children, as well as 1.5 million schools. So that's just a snippet of who we are as GSF. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take us through the 2 organizations sharing with us today. That is Asante Africa and Lend a Hand India. And Asante Africa works in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, that is the eastern part of Africa, operating in close collaboration with governments, local authorities, and schools on 3 core programs: Accelerated Learning, Wezesha Vijana, and the Youth Livelihood Program. The Accelerated Learning Program, which is a literacy program, enhances quality education by establishing school-based clubs that foster literacy and comprehension. In terms of the Wezesha Vijana program, which is targeting adolescents and teenagers aged 15 to 19 years, they focus on gender equity, leadership skills, and the power of STEM. The program is for both boys and girls, and it embeds peer-to-peer mentorship, community activism, and active parent engagement to support holistic youth development. And this sort of feeds into the Youth Livelihood Program, which is the program that we are going to focus on today, where they equip young people with employability skills, entrepreneurship knowledge, promoting decent work, and financial independence. And in terms of the speaker from Asante Africa, we'll be having Florence Thomas, based in Tanzania. She's the country manager at Asante Africa Tanzania, where she leads strategic partnerships and programs that expand access to quality education, strengthen youth leadership, and support sustainable community development. Florence believes in meaningful change that is pegged on strengthening systems, investing in people, and working collaboratively. She's a strategic leader and career mentor, and is committed to advancing education system that empower children and young people to reach their full potential. She champions partnerships that strengthen schools, supports communities, and create pathways for sustainable impact. And the second organization is Lend a Hand India. So the idea was for us to get perspective from both Africa and Asia. So Lend a Hand India is dedicated to integrating vocational education into mainstream schooling in India, where they equip young people with skills for work, life, and citizenship. They partner with governments and schools, and Lahi bridges the gap between policy and practice, ensuring effective delivery of vocational education across the country. Through their direct intervention model, which is what we are focusing on today, they work in 150 model schools where qualified trainers employed by the organization provide about 1 to 3 hours of vocational education. Lahi extends project management support to approximately 15,000 schools, providing technical expertise, setting up vocational labs, which they're going to share more about what that means today, and supporting the rollout of diverse skill-based courses. These labs span fields such as robotics, fashion and design, woodwork, electric trades, and agriculture, offering students exposure to both traditional and emerging pathways. And the speaker from Lend a Hand India, or Lahi, is Deepika Goyal. She's a development professional with over 15 years of experience in education, skill development, and youth empowerment. And she, at Lend a Hand India, she has led a pan-Indian vocational education initiative and contributed to the development of NSAT's vocational curriculum. She's a graduate of the National Institute of Fashion Technology, where she previously co-founded the Cameo Foundation, where she works to foster entrepreneurship mindsets and leadership skills among young people. So she's very passionate about young people and skilling. Her work is driven by a commitment to creating meaningful learning and livelihood opportunities for youth across India. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and allow Asante Africa to take up and share their engagement and interventions. Florence?
Thank you,
I'll
Mercy.
allow you to share your screen, please.
I hope you guys can see my screen.
It's up. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So, hello everyone. A very good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. And as introduced, I am Florence, country manager for Asante Africa Foundation Tanzania. And today I'll be sharing more of what we do across Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, because we actually have similar programs that we're running across the region. So as an organization, our main focus is transforming the today learners into tomorrow leaders, because we understand the skills that they need, the opportunities that they get in one way or the other will always help them to get to the next stage of life. Our mission as an organization is to simply educate and empower the future ready youth to lead resilient, sustainable, and inclusive rural communities across East Africa. Over the years that I've worked with different organizations and with Asante Africa, I have personally observed how the young people who are normally or frequently left behind lack the skills, the knowledge, and the opportunities that helps them to be able to thrive. And as I shared that we work in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, our team is highly connected to ensure that we are unlocking the potential and empowering the futures across East Africa with our CEO, Mr. Geoffrey Kasangaki, who is seated in Uganda. So as an organization, since we were founded in 2007, we realized that there are a number of challenges that hinder our young people from succeeding. And 60% of our rural East African youth lack access to quality education and opportunities. And when we talk of quality education, we know it's not only about the classroom itself, but also the tools that are normally being given to our young people. And over 60% of these classrooms in East Africa lack access to technology. We understand in the world that we are currently in, technology is not only for the young people to be able to learn, but also when they are or when we are preparing them for the future jobs, we understand these are the tools that are very crucial for them to be able to get knowledge about, and then to also be able to practice whatever skills and knowledge that are needed for them to be able to develop. Looking at 92% of our young people, they are into informal or the gig economy, of which it's not, most of the time it's not sustainable, and even the income is not that good. And 54% of our young people, they have average transition rate to secondary school. I'm talking for them getting from primary school level to either go to secondary school in ordinary level, for instance, here in Tanzania, or to advanced level learning. And 66% of these young people are unable to read or write, especially to the young learners. And only 43% of girls complete lower secondary school. And I know, as we have the theme of our young people around the skills that they need to acquire for them to be able to thrive in the 21st century. When we are looking at this low transition rate, it means if they cannot transition to the next level, that means even the chances of them getting to learn about the world skills, it's not going to be possible for them to acquire them. So what we do, as Messi just gave like a snapshot of what we do in other programs. We have accelerated learning program, which under it we have scholarships, we have projects that our young people are quite engaged in, and then we have digital literacy, of which we work or partner with schools to ensure that they get an opportunity to use these tools to be able to develop themselves. And then we have the Wezesha Vijana program, which looks at children rights, health and hygiene, gender equity, and financial literacy. And moving into Youth Livelihood Program, we are looking at sustainable development goal number 8, where our young people are able to get the professional skills, they're able to get the employment and workforce readiness or skills, and then they're able to also build business enterprise, and then also have projects or income generating activities that would help them to succeed in their future. So as I shared previously, that we discovered a lot of young people in East Africa are facing a challenge of either the skills or the tools for them to be able to thrive. And so young people leave the school without the practical skills that are needed for them to be able to access employment or create a sustainable livelihoods. And so our program, especially the Youth Livelihood Program, bridges this gap by equipping them with the capabilities, the confidence, and the opportunity to be able to transition from learning to earning, whereby I'll talk in the next slides on how we get to do that. But so far, when we talk of skills as an organization, the skills that we get to offer are professional and life skills, of which under it we have communication and public speaking, leadership and teamwork, and then problem solving plus decision making skills. And when we move to the next stage, of which it's mostly being shown through practical ways of our young people when they get through our program, it's the entrepreneurship and the financial literacy, whereby they are able to develop business ideas, they are able to learn about budgeting and saving, and then at last they're able to have the enterprise creation and growth based on the schools that they're coming from or the communities that they are learning from. And then lastly, it's the digital and innovation skills, whereby they get to learn a lot around digital literacy and technology use. They get to use the digital tools to develop and pitch their business ideas for employment. And then lastly, they get to innovate and they get to create creative problem solving ideas. Our programs are designed in a way that they are truly connected. So when a student or a young person gets an opportunity to go through our Wezesha Vijana program or curriculum, when they go to secondary school, they get an opportunity to also have access to the Youth Livelihood Program, whereby at the end of the day, it's like a continuation from one stage to another. And we do this mainly with the purpose of ensuring that they stay in school, so we get to increase the retention rate, but also we get to equip them or support them as they are transitioning from one level to another. And our program has a main approach, which is the Lend, Do, Teach approach, of which in the Lend, Do, Teach approach, we expect a young person to learn or go through our curriculum in a whole year. And then later on, they get to do whatever they've been learning about. If it's leadership, we highly encourage them to take leadership position at school. If it's about entrepreneurship, we highly encourage them to at least start an income generating activities, because remember, these young people are from rural marginalized communities. And so anything that they get to do in one way or the other supports their families when it comes to the economic or reducing the economic burden. And then later on, we encourage them to teach others or those who have not gotten an opportunity to go through our programs. And so lastly, they get to do something called the Pay It Forward, or like they get to learn how to give back to the community with whatever skills or tools that they have at hand to ensure that they are changing or they're transforming the lives of the people who are around them. Now, moving into the stage of how we work as an organization, we always employ local staff from the communities where we serve, simply because they understand the culture, they understand the people, they understand the needs, and they get to understand how to use or to apply the knowledge that they get from the organization to even take full ownership and even sustain their programs based on the area that they are coming from. So normally we would identify the highly marginalized communities in rural East Africa. If it's in Tanzania, you'll find us in Lushoto or Geita, DC. If it's in Uganda, you'll find us in Kasanda, Uganda. If it's in Kenya, then we're in Narok and other places. And we engage with highly or with community leaders and parents, because we believe these people are the greatest support system of the young people to be able to succeed in the areas where they're coming from. And then we partner with schools most of the time, especially government schools, and we work with teacher mentors who are normally trained along with the students. And later on, they go back to their schools and communities to train their fellows. And as an organization, we do the follow-ups to ensure that we get to evaluate from the very beginning when they're starting our programs up to the time that they get to graduate or when they get to go to the next level of their learning journey. And then lastly, our programs are designed alongside our youth and their communities to address their needs. So for instance, I was giving an example, let's say in Arusha, we get to work with the pastoralist community and the local leaders from that area to see how well can we equip the young people or the girls, let's say, who are in that area, to ensure that no challenge is hindering them from succeeding in their education journey or in their life. Moving on into our impact, as I shared, we just started our work since 2007. We have had quite a number of impact, not only in numbers, but also in the transformation that we have observed over the years, of which our young people have been able to move from one stage to another. They've been able to learn, they've been able to do whatever they learned, and they've been able to pay it forward and give back to the community, because we highly encourage that. Now, when we speak of the impact, I said it's not only about the numbers, but it's about also the impact that we are creating. We've had students receiving awards in the international platforms. We've had students or participants who have launched apps that are helping their community or their personal businesses that they have started. We've had girls who are entering into STEM and then solving the existing challenges in their community. We've had Pascal, who has received an award last year, along Alice, who was also from Kenya. And so these young people are the like impact that an organization have seen over the years, but also they would say like the ripple effect of the works that Asante Africa have been doing for over the years. Now, our commitment, since we have just celebrated the 5 years of impact that we've had as an organization this year. We've done quite a lot of work around deepening our impact, fueling the mission and vision of the organization, and making the programs that we are running really sustainable and quite owned by the communities that we work with. We have launched our 2026-2030 strategy, whereby our 2030 commitment is that it's from program delivery to systems change. And this has been made into existing within the 3 pillars that we have introduced as an organization across the region. And when I say across the region, I mean Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. So our pillars are around youth economic mobility, community and systems transformation, and institutional sustainability. The 2026-2030 strategy is structured around these pillars, whereby our young people, or pillar number 1 looks at future-ready youth. Like, our young people are to be equipped with the market-aligned green and life skills linked directly to defined economic pathways. And then number 2, we are looking at thriving communities, whereby as we want to change the systems, we are looking at how our young people are using the skills that they have acquired to be the ones who are making the change. When they are taking maybe leadership positions, it means they are at a high chance of them applying the knowledge that they have acquired from the organization and putting those skills into action. And then lastly, it's a sustainable organization, whereby as an organization, we are working into building a financial, diversified, and digital enabled institution which is capable of scaling responsibly. And when we are scaling, let's say, for instance, in Tanzania, we are still looking at the areas which have maybe low transition rates. We are looking at the areas where there are many cases of gender-based violence cases reported. We are looking at the areas whereby our young people lack digital tools and life skills which enable them to be able to succeed in their career or in their businesses in the future. And also in 2026 up to 2030, we say it's our time to prove that when the young people are equipped with the right tools and opportunities, they are not only able to participate in the future, but they are able to create it from the level that they are in, despite their age, despite the area that they're coming from, despite the challenges that they have faced. We truly believe if they're given the equipment, if they're given opportunities, if they're given the skills, the right skills, they are able to change the future, how it looks like. They're able to create the future along with the other people who are in the urban areas. As an organization, over the years of implementing our programs, we have faced several challenges. Number 1 being a high demand for digital entrepreneurship and employability skills, because again, we're in the rural areas, but still we are not able to cover like a lot of schools in the meantime. Then they have been limited to access to resources for youth in the undeserved communities. And then they've been limited funding to reach more young people based on the need that exists in the community. And as an organization, we believe every person has an opportunity to support, to walk the journey along with us and with the young people, to sponsor them or to sponsor the youth training and mentorship, to expand access to digital and business skills, to create more pathways to employment and entrepreneurship. Because if they get these chances, they are able either to be employed by organizations if they have the right skills, and they're also able to maybe employ themselves if they have the right tools and opportunities for the future. We have some young people who have testified after going through our programs. Some of them have been able to innovate new business ideas, and they were able to understand that they can change the challenges that exist into their communities and use it as an opportunity to either create a business or train or change the challenges that are existing to ensure that they are creating more opportunities for young people who did not get an opportunity to go through our program. And we also had Sarah, who went through our DEEP program. DEEP means Digital Employability and Entrepreneurship Program, whereby she was able to get the skills for her to be employed, but also the skills that enabled her to employ herself. And so she said she had acquired, at first, before participating in DEEP, she had a limited digital skills, but through the program, she gained the knowledge and confidence to start her own business and generate income and work toward a better future for her family. So thank you so very much. And I welcome you all to join hands with the Asante Africa Foundation to transform the lives of the young people across East Africa. Thank you, and over to you, Messi.
Thank you so much, Florence, for sharing with us. It's been lovely just hearing about how you do your programs across East Africa, and especially the learn, do approach and paying forward. I think that's a new one that we are learning today. Thank you so much. So I'll allow Lend a Hand India to share their work and what they do, and then we'll open up the session for any questions. So what you can do, if you have any question, you can put the question on the chat or just note it down, and then you will ask the question after this presentation.
Yeah. Thank you, Mercy, and thanks, Florence, for wonderful presentation and great work. I think there's a lot to learn for us as well. Quickly talking about Lend a Hand India. So Lend a Hand India works in the skill education space. Our primary focus is to integrate skill education in the mainstream education system in secondary and higher secondary schools, basically, so that it does not remain extracurricular activity, but it gets integrated in the system. And why do we do is to prepare young people, as Florence also talked about a lot of things related to employment and entrepreneurship opportunities. And we also believe that by providing exposure of various kind of skills and sectors, students do expand that kind of opportunities. We work with government and government aided schools across India. And we also work directly with government as well. And I'll talk more about that. By doing that, we are able to reach with numbers need to be updated, of course, but more than 1.5 million students, about 15,000 schools. And we have a co-located model with state government departments. Therefore, we have about 75, 80 team members sitting in different states working with the government department. So before we get into the details of the program, why skill education? And I think it's not very complex to understand the problem, that why it is important to bring skill education, because there is a gradually students are dropping after each grade, and after grade 10th, which is a very, very important juncture in students' life, at least in India, 62% students drop before grade 10. There's so much unemployment, and it's, I think, India and all, I think, developing countries are facing that. And 93% workforce do not have formal skill training, which is compared to a few countries around us do have formal skilled people. So to address that, the skill education being initiated, also we feel that education also becoming more and more rote methodology, rote learning. So how we can bring more applied learning even in the classroom. So if you look at broadly that it is addressing the rote learning issues, it is addressing the employability skills and employment related challenges. It is also addressing the exposure which students do not get at the early age. And by providing the skill education, you expose them to various sectors. So that's what that's why the skill education has been introduced. How do we do it is on the left hand side, you see certain skills like workshop engineering, energy and environment, gardening, nursery, food processing techniques. So variety of such skills in combination is introduced in grade 9 and 10. And the structure, which is like what are the elements, what are the enablers to bring skill education in the classroom or for student, is that you have to have a lab setup, you have to have a qualified trainer, an assessment system, and how this is integrated in the timetable, as I said earlier, also, so that it becomes irreversible, right? So that's how the program looks like. With that, I already spoke about the presence, but majorly how Lend a Hand India works is in two different models. Where one, we work directly with schools, other we work with the state government. So directly we are working with about 150 schools pan India, and while working with about 25 states, government, and union territories, we are working in these many numbers of schools and with students. And that's how we are able to scaled up the impact, um, use the government ecosystem and machinery to be able to do that. Now this is the work which has been happening since last 20 years, and I'm very happy and excited to share that Indian government has introduced a policy, a new national education policy in 2020, which mandates skill education for all students up to grade 10. And we are working at the very core and very closely with the central government as well as state government to implement that policy. So what that policy says is that there is an integration of vocational education in the mainstream education system. There is no rigid separation which has been so far. I mean, it has been introduced so far as a part of scheme, but not as a part of a proper subject. Now, from grade 6 onwards till grade 10th, it's a mandatory subject. So just imagine that all students across the country, at least for 5 years, will get the exposure of different kind of skills, and they will learn by doing. They'll understand the world of work also more closely. And in grade 11th and 12th, they will do specialization. So this is how the journey looks like. They get exposure in grade 6 to 8th, exposure as in different kind of projects they'll be doing. So it's a project based learning. Like they will do cooking without fire, they'll create puppets, they'll go and understand the how the museum works. So these kind of projects. In grade 9 and 10, they'll get exposure of 6 sectors. So sectors such as healthcare, finance, mechatronics, AI. And what I love about it is that it's a combination of rootedness plus aspiration, right? What the country needs and what the future looks like. So it's a combination of that. In grade 11 and 12, they'll specialize in one sector, while in ninth and 10, they'll be exposed to six. In 11th and 12th, they may pick only one and go deeper into that. And then there are facilities for undergrad programs also to go much deeper. And this is just like, I'll skip perhaps this slide, but this is how the framework and policies trying to ensure that they get variety in the exposure which they are trying to get. Other than the skill education, Lahi also has a flagship program which we call it's an internship program where students starting in grade 11th and 12th go for internship with local employers. And Florence, I would be very happy to exchange notes on this if you think this can be implemented in your geography as well, because we are seeing great results. This is something which we implemented in Nigeria as well, in Ondo State. So students go for local employers and they do this 80, 90 hours, basically 15, 20 days of internship, which helps them to get out of their comfort zone and understand how the work happens. And not only technical skills, but how to deal with failures, how to talk to people, how to commute. And I had never realized in my life that this itself can be one of the skills which we really need to develop in our students and in our young people, that how to this mobility, right? So all these elements are being talked about and covered, and I'm happy to share again that 12 states governments has adopted this initiative and program, and it's getting implemented. Like in every year about at least 50,000 students go for internship. um, yeah, some of the students' testimonials, you see Sejal Ingle. She was, in fact, one student who had studied vocational education, then did internship, then became an employer, and now she's providing internship to other students. So these are the stories we have. Manisha, on other hand, she's very good with camera and video making and all that. And the employer with whom she did her internship also provided the scholarship to do a detailed course. Uh, every child certainly has a talent, and skill education helps them to discover it. So these are like different pictures we just want to share with you, that how different kind of skills and their exposure looks like. Meet Harshita here. Harshita again was an electrical and IT student, and then now she is a software engineer in a really big company in the country. So these are some of the student stories and testimonials we keep receiving, and these are like maybe the success story which helps us also remain motivated. Other than the direct program and skill education initiative, these are certain projects which we initiated to create advocacy about skill education. So this is Skills on Wheels, and recently someone suggested us to implement the same in Latin America as well. So we are very proud of this project. Like Skills on Wheels, this has gone across the country. It's basically creates an advocacy in a very, very fun and engaging way, retrofitted with a lot of tools and these 7 skills as mentioned on the slide. Then we have this Karigar School of Applied Learning, which is maybe perhaps the only center we have, because our work is entirely in schools. And this we call it Disneyland of skills, because anyone can go there and learn any kind of skills you want to, right? Starting from the food processing, gardening, electrical, carpentry, AI, you name it, and you'll be able to learn those skills. So these are some of the projects we run. Then this is like our monitoring system. I don't think we can go in detail, but this has again been adopted by 8 state government to monitor skill education in schools. Yeah, certain tools we use, and of course, we keep measuring the impact time and again. As we are speaking, I'm sure there are 2, 3 studies our MEL team has undertaken, where we are seeing that students, after going through such program and exposure, the one at the school level itself, how they increase their engagement and attendance within the classroom, the increase in enrollment because of the introduction of skill education has also been increased. There is and when we talk about internship, it's not only internships outcome, but overall skill education and internship put together. Students feel that they are more informed about their career choices, and they are not retrofitted with whatever someone else is saying. uh, it has also impacted how the parents of female students or girl students think, because in these internships are very local and very short duration. I think it becomes a no-brainer for parents also to allow their girls child to send to the workplaces. So they are also expanding their mindset. And we are seeing that 76% of employers have mentioned that they would like to hire some of these students post internship, because they are completing grade 12th, which means they are in the age of employment as soon as they are completing the schools. So these are some kind of this thing. Um, Very happy to share that we are working in Nigeria with Nigeria government to implement the same thing. We have been expanding our work in the STEM education also, and as I mentioned earlier, that we are also part of this national curriculum framework, the textbook development team appointed by the NCRT and all. So, and economic survey 2023, we were mentioned in that as well. This is a very, very important document in Parliament, which gets presented by the uh, 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 Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister of the country. So that's how this is the importance of this document, and we're very surprised to have this attention. And yeah, this is some of my details. Would be happy to communicate further, but thank you so much, Mercy, for this opportunity. I'll stop sharing the presentation.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Deepika, for sharing that. And thank you, Florence, as well. It's good to see the similarity between your programs, but also the difference in how you're implementing them. in terms of your interventions approach. So I think I'm just going to open up the session to anyone who has any quick questions or feedback from the presentation today. What you've had, what questions do you have? What comes to mind when you see the two programs? And maybe just as we think through, I had a question on partnerships, ideally. Just I know Lend Hand India is doing it's actually direct partnership with government in terms of implementation. And I think I'd like to know, but for Asante Africa, your approach is not generally direct implementation with government. So I'd like to hear from the two organizations in terms of your partnerships approach and how you do it. What is the benefit of actually implementing this alongside government, and what are some of the challenges that you're going through as you implement with government? Because definitely there's the aspect of them supporting your program and integrating your program into the curricula, but what are some of the challenges around this as well?
Yeah, would be happy to share. I mean, I think Lend a Hand is a 20 years old organization, and I think since the very, very beginning, we had decided that whatever we do, we are going to work with government. So to work with government, you need certain kind of patience, of course. You need that kind of persistence and perseverance that we definitely want to work with government, and there is no other way. If we want to scale certain initiative at the national level, there is no other way but working with government. So that has been, I think, ingrained and integrated in our minds and in our, I think it's in our DNA now. So one, as many young organization now keeps approaching us that how to work with government, and this is the first thing we speak about, that you have to decide and you have to be there, at least you have to try this at least for next 10 years. If you think that in couple of years or 2 3 years I'm trying and it's just the afterthought, it is not going to work out, let me tell you, right? So that is one thing we see. There are of course various challenges, but having empathy towards government helps, because as you understand the ecosystem, you know that there are challenges, there are good people and there are not so good people. So and both are not going to stay there forever. So you need to understand what's the right time, right opportunity, right place. And if you are consistent, then you are known and you get to find that attention. And you're of course known as an expert in the ecosystem overall. So that's what happened, I think, with Lend a Hand India as well. In terms of challenges, I mean, as I said quickly, that today I might be speaking to a bureaucrat and having a discussion very passionately and deeply, and next day that person might just get transferred. So that's how the system works in India, right? The bureaucrats can get actually transferred, right? Um, Other than that, because there is so much happening, right? There are so many departments engaged. Uh, we live, breathe, eat, drink, everything with respect to skill education. For them, this is not the only job. This is not the only thing. There are so many things which are connected and aligned. So one has to think that also. So yeah, I mean, I can take in an hour-long session on working with government separately, but some of the initial thoughts just to share.
Amazing, thank you. Yeah, I think I agree on the issue of transition in terms of leadership is a big challenge for most government partnerships with organizations. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I think you're doing a great job in terms of your government partnership and just ensuring there's proper integration of your programs. And I think I'd like to hear from Florence as well. What kind of partnerships have been critical for you in terms of implementing, and what are some of the challenges you're going through around this?
Okay, so let's say from the government side first, there are some success that we have seen, especially in terms of taking ownership of the programs and even sustaining the programs that we're implementing. And so, since they're in the rural areas, most of the government schools, they are offering or enabling the teachers that we are working with to ensure that they are fully owning the program, they are implementing the program, and with the fact that we are equipping them most of the time with the trainings that they need and even the materials, then that's a good side, and they get to love it as well. While some of the challenges that we have faced, as Deepika just shared, the transition itself, the stipend issue, because sometimes without it, it's going to be somehow difficult. And then having to juggle between this government priority and maybe the next leader priorities, that has been quite a challenge. But as an organization, we have also always found a way on how we can work with other organizations in areas where we are working, just simply for us to collaborate and see how together we can cover that particular area. But then again, we have managed to work with other organizations of whom we have like shared priorities that we are looking at in that particular time. And that has enabled us to even reach further and to reach more young people. And sometimes some of the challenges that might happen is difference in budget lines. So you might find, let's say, Asante Africa, under the Youth Livelihood Program, we have X number of budget, which only limits us to a certain capacity or to a certain geographical area. While the other organization, maybe it's either has a bigger budget or much smaller budget, but always we find a way on how we can collaborate and reach more young people when possible. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think the budget issue and the stipend issue, I don't know if that's an African problem or it's across board. Yeah, but thank you for sharing that challenge. And I think just another question that had come to mind even as I open up the session to everybody else is, do we feel like we're going to have a shift in the core youth skills that are needed in the near future? Or do we think that what we have right now, we are preparing it's enough to prepare the youth for the future? Like with the presence of AI and everything that's coming around, do we think that we will need to do like a shift in the skills that we are preparing our youths with, or do we think we are well equipped for that?
I mean, it's, yeah, Florence, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So with what we are implementing currently, I must say it is not enough. Yes, we are doing a great job, but then again, because times are changing and things are changing, so we need to understand how well we are changing with the times in a positive way, while ourselves we are learning all across in the communities, just to make sure that they are up to date with the information, and they're also helping our young learners to be able to adapt to the environment. I would give an example. For instance, here in Tanzania, there has been a launch of 2050 strategy. The education sector has given its priorities in the coming years. And so as an organization, we looked onto that and saw like how do we fit with our current programs? And if there's need to have a change, what will be needed of us as an organization and what will be needed of us to provide to those communities to be able to get into this particular point. But then again, remember that is only for Tanzania, but there are priorities for the world, just as how we were looking at the sustainable development goals. So as time goes by, yes, what we are doing is a very great thing, but we still need some things with the presence of AI, with, I don't know, climate education and things around that, with whether it's gender-based violence or things around gender equity. So we are needed to understand what are the priorities that are needed. We've had government officials saying, we are seeing many organizations now working with girls. So again, in that particular time, you'll be like, how do we engage boys as allies of girls to ensure that they are not left behind? So yeah, we are doing well, but we need some other things on top of that to be able to do even better for the future.
Okay, thank you, Florence. Deepika, you're saying something?
No, I mean, it's interesting. Florence mentioned about this, that boys should
Yeah.
not remain behind. And that's a conversation. I mean, the same thing I've been hearing since last 3 days. And it seems that now it's the time, it's the gears are shifting, a long way to go yet for girls. But I think in the current era, I totally agree and resonate with what Florence said in terms of that we are not doing enough in terms of, I mean, we really need to change a lot of things. And that's where how we are looking at skill education is that how do we develop transferable skills, right? And
Mm.
look at skill education as a vehicle and not like the only thing which students can learn. So it's basically developing capacities to learn how to learn, right? I
Yes.
mean, so I think that is what is required, because nobody knows what's going to happen after 5 years. In every room you go, and depending on what people are there, you get to know more that, okay, these are also things which are happening in the world, right? There are robots to do everything. On other hand, there are not many people to do anything. So yeah, I think we are in the very, very wide spectrum. World is not in convergence as of now. Depending on the geography, time, the things are very, very different for everyone. Um, of course, maybe in 5 years we may all come at the same level, but we don't know what that level is going to be. Certainly, in terms of AI and all that introduction, the ability to deal with the new technologies and new thing is certainly being integrated, so that we need to take care of. And we really need to, I think, discuss and as a community to come together, that how we can use AI for our advantage, because it has come, right? So rather escaping it and trying to get away from it, it's time that we understand how do we use it for the advantage, rather wondering what to do. So yeah, that's.
Yeah, I think I agree with you both. And yes, I was hopeful that's the answer I'll get in terms of like we're not doing enough. There's just a lot for us to continue researching on and continue working on, especially the transferable skills aspect. So that there's no hard stop in terms of how much someone can learn or what is important for the future. And just to respond to your question or to your comment on AI, within GSF, we actually coming, we will be starting more of like a community of practice or a working group on AI, where we'll be spotlighting different organizations within the community that are working within AI. What are some of the interventions within AI that people can learn from and also continue engaging with? So that's a conversation that's definitely will be coming your way soon, or rather, you'll be seeing more information on that. So that's good to know. I don't know if there's anybody else who has a question targeted to Asante Africa or Lend a Hand India. I know we've had people who've just joined right now. Sorry, you've missed the conversation or rather the presentation, but we'll be sharing this as a follow-up part of the discussion today as a follow-up email as well. So I'll just let anyone else who has a question to the two organizations or anything you'd like to hear more about what the work that they're doing. Okay. Yeah, if we don't have any, I understand. Yeah, I think we were having a lot of technical issues, so we might have lost a number of people who had registered to join the session. So I'll just, if we don't have anyone else with any question, yeah, I'll just, there's something in the chat. Let me see.
I just dropped a message
Okay,
if
oh, it's
anybody
you.
wants to
Oh, good,
connect.
good, good. All right, yeah. So what we can do, we can just, yeah, so these are the contacts for both Deepika and Florence. And I'll also be launching a poll just for us to give feedback in terms of the session, as well as any questions we may have regarding the session. So please take time to just respond. I hope everyone can see the poll. And then we'll definitely be happy to continue with this conversation. My colleague Ajay also leads the secondary education and work readiness work. So he'll be happy to support any organizations in this space as well, and respond to any conversations around what has been going on within the secondary education space. We had a study tour in 2024 in Uganda, basically just addressing some of these issues that we've discussed today. So it's a continuous discussion within the GSF community. So please fill in the poll and let us know how the session was, and any feedback that you'd like to give to us to make the session better. My apologies once again for the technical issues that we encountered today. We've been moving to a new CRM, so it's been a bit stressful in terms of just ensuring efficiency around our event management, but very soon we'll have that sorted out. So we'll give it a minute or two for any feedback. You can see, I don't think we're filling in the poll. Please do fill in the poll. This will be very helpful for us as we plan for future spotlights and events. Thank you for the results coming in. So I'll be sharing a follow-up email with a bit of more detail on the two organizations, as well as a recording of this session for anyone who missed the initial part of it, just for you to get up to speed of it. And then we will have more spotlight sessions throughout the year. So thank you so much for your time. It was amazing just hearing from you, Florence, and Deepika on Asante Africa and Lend a Hand India. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the preparation, and thank you for sharing with us. And we look forward to better collaboration and engagement from you both. And I hope that the two of you can actually share notes. I feel like there's just a lot of possibility to work together as the two organizations. So let me know if you need us to facilitate that, or you're able to do that by yourselves. But we hope that this leads to more working together between Lend a Hand India and Asante Africa.
Thank you, Mercy. I highly appreciate. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.